Welcome back. We're live tonight with two big issues. Earlier on, I had Rashid Pelpo talking about government's job creation plan, explaining why government was not going to award contracts to above 60s, and also talking about a few things in labor. But the big story for the day is happened at Johnny Tim Fordjour's house. Earlier in the day, security operatives had gone there, ostensibly to arrest him. My guest, Kojo Nkrumah, was there. We're sort of building up to how he got there and what happened there, but we're just trying to sort a few points. So if I get you right, the president's statement was in order. The government communication machinery overreacted and blew this up out of proportion. And that's what has led to all the confusion. And number two, the attempt to explain away what happened with the flight created more questions.
Yes, because there were so many gaps in the answer, so many inconsistencies.
But the question is, let's assume I say something, I make a claim, and then you say my claim was wrong.
Yes.
But I have not proved my claim.
Yes.
Does the onus not still rest on me who made the original claim? Because you who's trying to debunk me may make mistakes, but the bigger responsibility is on me who makes the original claim, right?
First of all, you didn't make the claim directed at me. You made the claim directed at the government.
Okay.
The man who sits on top of the government rightly and wisely says, I agree, let's do a full-scale investigation into this. Because you see, these matters, it's not just about saying it's not true. You've got to go into it and allow the oxygen and the light, the sunlight, to look into it and convince everybody else that it's not true. I take you back to 2008, when the MV Benjamin matter came. Osei Kwame Prempeh, I think, was Deputy Attorney General at the time. The government took a decision under President Kufuor that we need a full-scale public inquiry into it. The government could have come out and said that these parts of the story are not true. These parts are true, so we are going ahead to prosecute with this one. But they allowed a full-scale public inquiry so that not just the substance of what they are saying, but all other parties could watch and hear and see people being cross-examined and come to a clear understanding that Ghana was not being used as a place like this. So the president did the right thing. The challenge is that the other architects in government then decided that, no, let's go and teach him a lesson. Let's go on this exercise to intimidate the minority caucus. And there's actually a pattern that has been going on. If we have some time, I'll go through it. And that is what then culminated today in over 20 armed people raiding his house in an effort to arrest the spokesperson of the minority caucus because he has raised questions about something and is asking government to investigate.
Do you know if they had written to the speaker and the speaker had acceded to the request to meet him?
Whenever somebody writes to the speaker and the speaker writes to the NIB granting permission for that person to be interrogated, the person is copied. As we sit here, we don't have any such copy. We have rather petitioned Mr. Speaker later today after we left his premises that this is what some officials or some persons claiming to be officials of the NIB tried to do. We're drawing your attention to it as the speaker so that if indeed it is true, you engage them, and then if they have to get some information as part of some investigation, they can do the right thing. If it is not true, then we know the kind of steps.
So let's talk about...
Because Bernard, if you see the people who came to the house, you showed a few photos.
Yes, please put it back. I want to see. Fred said there were about 20.
If you see the people who came to the house in balaclavas, some like ninjas, just showing their eyes.
No, not this one.
Fully armed with AK-47s, cocked, etc. When I was going into the house around 2 p.m., I had to literally maneuver my way.
So you got there after Fred got there. So you got there at 2 p.m.
Because I think Fred was there before I got
1:20.
there. Yeah, I got there around 2 p.m. You had to literally maneuver your way through and ask them to excuse you, etc. It was scary. About 20
even
of these
you,
people. Oh yes, even for
been
me.
In government this long.
I'm telling you, because you see, you can't tell whether these people. There were some in shorts carrying guns.
So it wasn't one group of security. As in,
I saw about 3 different groups. There was a first group. If you can pause the photos, there was this group. So you see people in shorts.
These are not supporters. Oh, these are also security guys.
He's wearing a bulletproof vest. Can you see that?
Okay, in the kambu.
Yeah.
The orange shirt.
Yeah, with side pistols on them. If you can
so
go
these
to the
are
photo,
part of the guys.
If you can go to the photo before, have you seen? No. Okay, so these are some of those in the ninja masks and balaclavas with their faces covered. No ID, no nothing. They come with guns to your house that they've been asked to bring you. Go to the next one. I'll show you something.
But there's NIB on one of them. Their chest.
National Investment Bank or what?
No, National Investment.
That's why you come with an ID.
Okay, so
police people wear an ID.
Let's stay with this group. So this
you see the gentleman on the left in the hat and the polo shirt.
Yeah.
That's an AK-47 in his hand. Is that not?
Yes.
Look at that.
Yes.
In tracksuits, etc.
Yes.
And all these people come to your house that they are here to arrest you. There's another one there with some scarf that has been tied around his face.
The pink scarf.
You can't see. So this was a scary enterprise.
What else do you have? Show me what else you have, guys.
And you have about 20 of these people. There were 3 layers of them. There was this group. Then there was also the reinforcement from the police.
So there were also uniformed police there?
Oh yes, later they called in reinforcement of the police.
So these are only 2 you have, just be scared.
Yeah,
but there were uniformed police also.
Yes, in fact, in your videos you showed earlier, the police cars were outside with police flashlights and armed police people with their AK-47s. There you see them.
Okay, so these guys were also part...
They were all part of it, lined up on the streets to ostensibly cordon off the whole area.
Were there other security people
There's
there?
a third group. Those were the people who didn't appear armed. Some were in Batakari, etc. They were wearing the COVID masks. So you see them wearing the COVID. It was some of them who came in to have the meeting with us. With
but
their side
they were not
arms.
Armed, or they just had
They did.
arms?
They had their side arms on them. So we asked for an arrest warrant.
Can you tell where that group was from? Those who you met in the room? Were they National Security, NIB?
They told us that they had been
these guys?
sent. These are some of them. So you see some of them wearing the masks. Yes, they had the side arms with the masks.
But they were not uniformed?
No, they were not.
Plain clothes?
You were not. And if you put all of them together, you even exceed the 20.
So the group that I just showed at the pool, you now went into the meeting with?
Yes, because when you enter his house, there were those who were armed in the corridors. And then there was an inner room where he and some of our leaders were. And we had managed to secure some truce at that point, where then the meetings.
So how many people did you meet in the meeting from your?
Oh, there were about 12 to 15
of them.
No, members of parliament, lawyers who had come around when we all had the distress call that our colleague was being intimidated, and some people wanted to pick him up. And then there were quite a number of these gentlemen, but then later they brought in a delegation and some discussions took place. I won't go into too much detail.
So I'm just saying that the people you spoke to, though, they were plain clothes people.
They were plain clothes people.
And was it a civil meeting?
Oh, it was a civil meeting.
It was a civil meeting.
It was a civil meeting. And
how long did that meeting last?
Maybe a little over an hour or so. And
so it was after the meeting that you guys came out to address the press?
Oh yes, it was after the meeting, after which they had now left the premises.
That you came to address the press?
And then we came out, and our leader, who led the
So can you confirm that they had come to arrest him?
Yes, I can confirm to you. I was in the meeting when the leader of the delegation told us that the Director General of the NIB had asked them to pick him up.
Not to search his house?
No, to pick him up and to bring him. We asked for a warrant. One of the officers told us that he sitting there was the warrant. And we explained to him that, gentlemen, all these 12 or 13 lawyers here, you can't make that argument to us that we know the law.
And Fordjour was there with you?
He was there with us.
But hold on, they had gone to the house before you guys got there?
Yes.
Yet they had not taken him yet?
No, because at the time when they tried to enter, I'm sure you see videos earlier of when they got into the compound. At that time, videos were taken, it was circulated, and so very quickly, a mob of supporters came.
Which is what Fred was saying, that there were so many supporters there that...
Very quickly, a mob of supporters...
And the media has also joined?
Yes, so they had their own kind of difficulties.
So if some alarm hadn't blown...
Most likely they would have gone ahead and we won't even know where he is by now. Or for the fact that he led a press conference on behalf of the minority to articulate suspicions that the minority has and is requesting for an investigation on. So in the end, some civility prevailed and they withdrew, after which...
So they agreed with your argument that they could not take him without a valid warrant?
You see, there are two different levels of this argument. The first level is that when the minority caucus holds a press conference and articulates a position, the answer is not to send 20 armed people, some of who you just saw, to his house that they are coming to catch him. It is unheard of.
You explained that to them?
We did. We explained that to them. That listen, in a democracy of this nature, maybe you are under instruction, but mind you, if you do anything illegal, because what you are doing is against Article 115, Article 117, Order 24(3) of the Constitution and the Standing Orders. What you are doing is against Act 720. So if you follow any unlawful orders, you yourself will be liable.
You are also,
so please understand the gravity of what you are seeking to do. I think they understood it. They had conversations with whoever they needed. Afenyomakin was our leader who led the conversations, did a very fantastic job.
But this was you were sitting down.
Oh yes. This was a very.
So it means that the calm had prevailed.
In there, calm had prevailed. But like Fred will tell you, outside there was a lot of tension because people didn't know what was going on there, etc. That's one. Then two, we also got them to understand that if for any reason a member of parliament is required to come and provide answers to a question, there's a procedure. In fact, Order 24(3), which is built on Article 117, clearly says that even if Parliament is on recess, you go and see the Speaker.
Okay.
So there's a process that you have to go through.
Okay.
This thing you are doing, you are setting a very dangerous precedent. We don't need to go down this path. I think in the end, some reason prevailed. And even tonight, though we are not very trustworthy of the agencies, and for which reason we've had to make some arrangements to ensure that they still don't go and pick him up tonight, we are expectant that sanity will prevail going forward. But I think that the efforts and the attempts to intimidate the minority must cease. There have been a number of things ongoing for a while now. So far, you have many instances where a member of parliament makes an argument on the floor that seems to hit the government very much. And next thing that you hear, they will invite that person to come and answer questions about something. Quite a number of our members have been invited, and they've gone to provide answers.
But I thought those meetings were held in Parliament. If I'm wrong, I'm told that former NSS boss, MP for Yagaba Kubori, and A+ were questioned within the precincts of Parliament.
Yes. But even apart from them, a few others. Once you talk on the floor,
but generally they come to you. You don't go to them.
Yes, that is the process that is been laid out by.
So you are hoping that if the security agencies wanted to follow the president's directive in the true spirit of what the president said, they would have followed the same procedure.
Of course, they would have followed the same procedure. They could have even gone ahead to do a more transparent exercise by allowing a public inquiry, which is what the Minority Caucus is asking for, that these matters, you do a public inquiry. You know, when we came to power, 2017, one MP alleged that Alan Chemantin was involved in a cash for seats matter and that there should be a public inquiry. Did you see us sending 20 people to go to his house to catch him? No. A public inquiry took place, even in Parliament. Cameras were on.
But I think the argument they make is that when it comes to national, because Alan example is a great example, but you see, the nation's airport, 2 aircraft, cocaine republic, it's much, much more serious.
But in MV Benjamin, which was equally serious, even with audio tapes, you remember those audio tapes, Kofi Boakye and the rest, those audio tapes, a public inquiry was held. So there's nothing really strange about having a public inquiry about these matters.
Yeah, but you see, Kojo, I'm not a lawyer, but I feel like a public inquiry is much further down the line. I don't think a preliminary...
No, I'm drawing your attention to the fact that...
I'm saying that, have you even established a preliminary course?
There is enough...
Is there any evidence provided beyond saying that there are 2 suspicious aircraft
and therefore we should follow up? The government itself has provided evidence by admitting, first of all, that the Air Med aircraft... You see, first of all, think about it. Air Med is not a commercial flight. It didn't even come from their base. It came from Gran Canaria, a place which has all its history and knowledge dealing with matters of this nature. And it came from Gran Canaria to Ghana. Was it bringing a patient or taking a patient? Okay, it came here and stayed here for a number of days. We are told that another aircraft ostensibly came from Luanda to bring parts. It is now turning out that no aircraft came from Luanda bringing parts, and that rather another aircraft, a medical ambulance from Gran Canaria again, came with some items on board. They were discharged. Then that aircraft rather moved to Luanda and to 2 other airports, came back to Accra and left back to Gran Canaria. The government itself has already admitted some prima facie stuff associated with this first one.
Number two,
if I may land, number two, if I may land. Then you come up with this second Ukrainian aircraft, the Kavok one. Initially, the government explained that it came from, I think, Europe or something. It is now turning out that that particular aircraft they are talking about is still in North Africa. And another flight came from Luanda here, which is the one that you just showed, of jerry cans with oil in that aircraft. Were they bound together? What was it?
Yeah, but the fact that there are questions, does that mean that you
prima facie, you see, it's not an empty allegation that he cooked it from the air. That's the point I'm making.
Kojo,
I'm coming.
We are not
in court,
but just give me a second. I just want to understand something. Somebody says there are suspicious aircraft, but he has not given us anything to show what was in the aircraft. The only thing you've said is that they came from a place with a certain reputation.
Yes.
And you are saying that in debunking the claim that there was something suspicious, the minister who made the press conference or whatever he said got some of the facts wrong. But I'm saying that, is that prima facie to mean that there's any evidence?
Why did the president call for an investigation?
He said they should collaborate to find out more from the guy.
So you are saying that the president was not convinced that there was anything prima facie, yet he called for an investigation?
Look, Kojo, I'm saying that...
I'm saying to you, there are about 2 or 3 different things. The president himself having heard what we consider as prima facie,
preliminary allegation,
yes, what we
says
consider
collaborate
as,
with him for more.
what we consider as prima facie, the president himself,
Yeah.
having heard and seen it, said, I want NACOC, CID, so and so and so to collaborate and investigate. You are saying that despite that, or some people are saying that despite that, there's nothing prima facie. Number two,
The president said he
the
should
government,
get. No, they said they should. President said they should get.
he says they should investigate. You can go
Collaborate
back to the text.
to
To
get-
investigate. He used the word investigate.
To provide more
To
information.
investigate, not my words, the president's words. Number two, when the government spokesperson who seeks to rubbish what the president has said, that is bogus, it's not necessary, they'll teach in team Fordjour lesson, comes to speak, he then even provides some further information which shows you that this is not a cooked up story. There's something there. I'm saying that you can follow the president's instruction and just investigate. If you investigate, do an inquiry, and you come out and you realize that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or so, and so you deal with it. In fact, during that investigation, you may even find out that unknown to you and unsanctioned by you, somebody has done something. But it appears that the interest of the government is trying to intimidate him, shut him up, and that's what we're
Does the fact that
speaking
the
about.
airport company issued a statement today essentially saying that there was no evidence of any illegal substance on board both aircraft, and that the onus is on the group of individuals making false allegations to provide evidence, does that not shift?
That is not what the president instructed. The president didn't say agency should issue statement to explain it. The president said, get an investigation done.
Yeah, but
and I'm surprised.
I'm trying to understand something.
I'm surprised.
Hold on. You are a former minister. If a government communicator comes out to speak to an allegation and makes a video, the assumption is that he has spoken to people close to the situation who have briefed him on what they believe to be the facts. Will that not be part of an investigation?
The press briefing.
No, not the press briefing. The information that led to the press briefing.
Yes, but so has he told us that an investigation has
taken
told us that an investigation has taken place? He's telling us that there's no need for an investigation.
Based on what he knows.
He says there's no need for an investigation. It is bogus, and rather they will teach. In fact, they will make a scapegoat out of him. That is contrary to the president's instruction. And I'm saying that for purposes of good governance, etc., you want that investigation done and matters laid to rest. You want it done so that if somebody is even doing something untoward, you can figure it out. Today I spoke to a lawyer who said, I didn't even believe this thing. I didn't think there was anything in it. But two things are making me worried. I said, what was it? He said, one, the inconsistencies in the government's responses. And two, this seeming attempt to cow the man into submission or oppress him is making me wonder, what is the government hiding? And I'm like, well, I don't know. It will help if they just do the investigation and we know. Maybe we will all see something that we will be surprised about. Maybe the thing will be cleared. But I think that, and Bernard, this point needs to be made strongly. This attempt to cow the minority into submission, that when you say something, we'll come for you. You have lost an election, keep quiet. You know, we are in charge, we have the power. You have Jakpa raiding people's homes. And after those raids, you don't see any, for example, prosecution or anything to say that we went to this person's home and based on the intelligence, we found this. And therefore, the property that was destroyed in his house will not be compensated. He will rather be prosecuted. Or we found, or we didn't find this. So none of those is working to help our situation. It appears as though there's an entire orchestration to, you know, put some state dominance over everybody. And that is what we are
based on what has happened today. Do you believe an investigation can actually, do you believe an honest investigation can happen on the basis of the attempt to arrest him, the minority leadership's intervention, and where we are today? Is this situation salvageable?
It is.
In what way?
You know when the Ayawaso West Wogon matter happened, I was in one of the meetings where this question was asked, is this situation salvageable? And the president said, put together a team of people who are not aligned to even our political cause. Okay. So you had Emil Short, I think. You had
Professor Mensah
Bonsu. You had
former IGP.
A former IGP. And then you had secretary to the committee was lawyer Abochi.
Kofi Abochi.
Put them together to do a public inquiry to try to get to the bottom. That's how you deal with matters of this nature. It's not about attacking the persons who led the minority press conference and trying to cow them into submission and say, because I've answered, everybody should go to bed. No, that's not how it's done.
What are you hoping the speaker would do, even though you're on recess? Because you've written to the speaker and obviously complained about what has happened. What do you expect Speaker Babin to do within now?
The law is clear, the precedent is clear. If it is indeed necessary that as part of the investigation, they speak to members of the minority caucus, not just in Team Fordjour, members of the minority caucus who have various bits of information to assist in this. Mr. Speaker will give the necessary parameters for that to take place. And I'm sure all who have information that they want to make available to the investigative agencies will make that information available at that forum. That's what we expect Mr. Speaker will do.
A few comments. It's about time the MPP stop their destructive and that's distractive with I and E drama to allow the business of government to go on, like my brother Pelpo just spoke about. Another one says, why can't the NDC stand criticism? But they do the most. I just don't understand them. And then, Bernard, this choboy attitude has to stop. If in Team Fordjour has nothing to hide or means well, why shouldn't he be protected by the party? Let's be nationalistic and patriotic to Ghana, not parties. I hope I've read the statements well. Kojo, thank you for talking to us.
Thank you, Bernard.
When are you guys going back to Parliament?
I think by the end of May, Mr. Speaker will recall us to come to Parliament and continue with our work.
How is life outside government?
Well, bustling with a lot of activity. On my new committee, for example, we have been keen on getting the policy documents that government is working with so that we can start. We're also going to start the public hearings of the annual performance reports of the various ministries.
So you are getting on with it?
We're getting on with it.
You are not sulking that you lost?
No. You know, there are 3 arms of government. You may not be in executive today.
But you are still in government?
You are still in government. You got work to do. Do it.
For Mother Ghana?
Yeah.
As Kwame, my friend, will say, for God and country. Thank you for watching. We've had a big show. We had Rashid Pelpo earlier, Kojo, Oppong, Nkrumah, both MPs, one a minister, one a former minister, and both working for Ghana. My name is Bernard Avle. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.